Hey, Ted. Do you want to stay dry?
Well, you know, I thought maybe if I dried off a little before we started.
I know. I kind of feel like.
So that we won't.
Okay. Hey, everyone. Good morning, everybody. Actually, I don't think it's morning anymore. I think it's afternoon. But good afternoon on this dry, sunny, cool day where none of us are getting wet. So incredibly grateful that everybody is here today to celebrate this exciting partnership. If you could all wander over to the front, I'll call you out by name. If you don't, I'll make you speak. Thank you all for coming. That's the first of 6 times that you're going to hear that, so you're welcome in advance. I know most of the faces in this crowd, but for those of you that I don't know, my name is Ruth McCabe. I'm a conservation agronomist at Heartland Cooperative, and I'm the lead agronomist for our new conservation agronomy team. Side note, I am also a 2022 Nuffield International Farming Scholar, and thank you. And I'm studying conservation adoption around the world. And hey, I just want these guys over here to wave their hands. Wave their hands for the crowd. There you go. Those guys are from Australia and Ireland. After this, please put them on the spot, ask them questions. They have a lot to learn from us, and we have a lot to learn from them. So what are we actually here to talk about today? We're here to talk about this really cool machine behind me, right? And the partnership that goes along with this machine. So 2 years ago, don't worry, I'll keep this fast. 2 years ago, Heartland started our internal conservation agronomy team by hiring me, and they had no idea what they were in for, and neither did I. And so we came to the table and we said, how are we going to structure a conservation team? What are we going to do? Well, first, we prioritized on-the-ground conservation practices, but also we knew that we had to go after existing public programming and take advantage of that infrastructure that was already in place. So we knew we had to partner with public entities. And so we saw that in Kansas City a few years ago, they had launched a cover crop seeder machine partnership, much like what we've got here today. And we said, you know, we want to copy that partnership in Iowa. So we brought that idea to Idalls, City of Des Moines, Polk County, and Des Moines Waterworks. And we said, hey, this is a really wild, crazy idea, but what do you guys think about it? And they did not laugh us out of the room. So thanks for not laughing us out of the room. And it's been 2 years, and we're incredibly proud and excited of the work that's happened behind the scenes in that time. And now we're standing in front of this machine to launch the first of hopefully many public-private partnerships like this. And Heartland is going to carry the banner forward in terms of selling the heck out of this machine, selling the heck out of cover crops in those priority watersheds, and really actually at the end of the day proving out this model of public-private partnerships as being a viable future for conservation practice in Iowa. And so I'm not going to say any more because y'all aren't here to hear from me. You're here to hear from our farmers and the other very important people that we have as a part of this project. So I'm going to pass this off to Vernon FLINN, who is the farmer who manages this property, and he's right behind me.
Thank you, Ruth.
You're very welcome.
Welcome, everybody, and what a great day, you guys. I mean, we're very glad to be getting a little bit of rain today because we was desperately needing the rain. I'd like to introduce my son Kelly that farms with me. Him and his family live straight south of the waterworks over on Adams Street. And myself, I live right across the interstate on the south side of Moffett Lake, and that's where I was born and raised. And I just live south of the white farmhouse there. So Kelly and I, we farm in 5 counties. We have a beef cow herd operation also. And you know, I'd like to say that I sit on the board of Heartland Co-op, and I bleed Heartland Co-op. So Heartland Co-op is our grain merchandiser and our agronomist people also, and our fuel people. They do a great job, and I think you guys have got a great event going here. I think it's great you guys has worked together. This is going to be a great tool, I believe, to help get cover crop put on in the areas, and I just hope you can get the acres under it, and I believe it will be a great source of putting cover crop on, help putting it on. So, you know, Kelly and I, we've messed with cover crops for quite a number of years, and we've tried several different seeds. We've tried the turnips, the hairy vetch, the clovers, the rye, and the oats, and you know, the list goes on. But ultimately, we kind of lead toward the rye because I think it's easy. We've tried planes, helicopters have put it on in the past. Ultimately, what we do today is we drill it with, as soon as the crop's off, we come in and we drill a rye. And I drilled it a couple years ago when it was so muddy we couldn't hardly pull the drill, but the rye come up just perfect, and it just grew all winter, spring. You couldn't even tell it was put on in terrible conditions. So rye's a pretty tough one, and I think it serves, and I feel like we get the most bang for our buck of the money that's spent and invested on putting rye on there for a cover. This spring it was a little challenging to you know, it just stayed wet, cold, windy. We had a little trouble getting the rye to terminate. We was late getting it terminated, so we was a little late getting the corn planted, hoping that the field would dry out. But it just so this spring has been a little challenging with the cover crop, and every year is different. You know, the last few years has been pretty good, and we've had great success. We like messing with it, and I'm up here to, I'm not standing here to profess that I know everything about cover crop or what's right or wrong. And the good Lord only knows we could do more on our part in our business to make the cover crop and get more cover crop put on. But where it's just Kelly and I and a couple of other family members that farm, we're kind of limited on labor and time. And so we do what we can do, but there's always room for us to do better. And I just hope that I hope the machine and Heartland can get it over the acres, and I hope it proves to be very worthwhile for all of you guys getting together and make this work. And now I'm going to pass it on to Ted. Thank you guys.
Thanks, Vernon. Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon and welcome to Maffett Reservoir Park, which is home to an emergency water supply for the metro area. It is home to a water treatment plant, and it is also home to 100 acres of agricultural land that has been under production for decades, literally. Now, as non-operator landowners of this agricultural land, we know how important it is to work with the farmer who farms the land to ensure that appropriate conservation practices are applied to this land. You heard a little bit about that from Vernon. He's been working with us on various cover crop options on this land for a number of years now, learning how it works, what works best. I think that this is going to be, I hope it will be, a real game changer for cover crop application in this area. We know that these practices work, and we also know that we need to see these types of conservation practices applied at scale on acreage across the state of Iowa if we have any hope of seeing the kind of water quality improvements that we all want to see in the surface waters here in the state of Iowa. So we're excited about joining this partnership with our partners who are really interested in science-based approaches to improving water quality here in the state of Iowa. Now, on our land, little bit that we have, we try to do what is right, and we really hope that this project will be kind of a launching pad to make this kind of cover crop application available and accessible on every acre across the state. We hope to see this move up the watershed and move across the state, and if we can, then we've accomplished our goal in terms of being a partner in this very unique partnership. Before I hand it off, I do want to thank the City of Des Moines, Polk County, the Department of Ag for their joint investments in this project. We want to thank Heartland Co-op and all the folks who have worked so hard to get this thing off the ground at Heartland. As Ruth said, it was their idea. They came to us. We didn't laugh them out of the room. We kind of cocked our head a little bit, but this is an exciting project that has come to fruition finally, and we're glad to be here at the table with this group of partners. So with that, I will stop and hand it off to Polk County Supervisor Matt McCoy.
Well, thanks, Ted. Good afternoon. Today is a great day to celebrate the continued collaboration with Polk County along with neighboring counties, the Iowa Department of Ag, Des Moines Water Works, the City of Des Moines, and landowners. Cover crops are an essential strategy in reducing nitrate levels which reach our waterways. This project could yield expansion of the practice that results in measurable outcomes and effectiveness. I'd like to commend Jonathan Swanson with Polk County, as well as Bob Rice, who've been engaged in improving our water quality, and also acknowledge the work of the City of Des Moines Waterworks, and Ted Corrigan, who's been a leader in championing best practices. This is a great start. When John Norris, I think, first talked to me about this idea, I thought that it was unusual to have Polk County, an urban area, getting involved in this type of project, and seeing how this has worked in other places. I think this is certainly the way we should be going now today. And I'm certainly glad all the partners that collaborated in this project are putting forth the best effort to get this out in this public-private partnership. So with that, I'd like to introduce Jonathan Gano from the City of Des Moines.
If I can continue Ruth's story for just a moment, this kind of outcome is what happens when you have what I kind of like to call bad ideas that no one says no to. They eventually turn into good ideas, and it's usually by the work of other people. And everybody involved in this partnership, from Mr. Swanson, Ruth, and others at Heartland Co-op, did the hard work of putting together a plan and working with everybody involved to kind of spread out the risk, but also to raise the level of support so that it can bring this kind of machinery into the watershed upstream at an accelerated rate and try to instigate these kinds of practices in the landscape where we need it. It may not look like it, but this is a flood fighting machine. We have modeling that shows that cover crops and no-till soil health practices are far better for lowering the level of risk reduction than almost anything else you can do. And that seems counterintuitive to the civil engineer in me. That a wholesale adoption of cover crops and soil health practices that return agronomic benefit to the farmer and to the crop can also lower the flood risk for residents downstream. And that gets me very, very interested in supporting a project like this. We in Des Moines, if you've been downtown, have seen years worth of construction that started with raising the Red Bridge, jacking it up 4 feet out of the 100-year floodplain in the river. And we're continuing that work on downstream, and will be continuing for several years. Levees are very, very expensive. The gates that protect our roadways, very expensive. And if we can partner with other people to push conservation practices upstream that deliver benefit to us downstream in flood risk reduction and water quality, it seems like a good investment to me. And I'm proud to be able to be a partner in this, and we'll next be able to hand off to the senior partner in this entire partnership, the Iowa Department of Agriculture and Land Stewardship, led by Secretary Knack.
Well, thank you, everyone, and great to be here, and great to celebrate a very, I think you've heard it now several times, a unique partnership. And we love partnerships. And you'll hear me talk a lot about this, that we are truly trying to live out what we have said all along, is that we will work with any partner who in good faith wants to go out and work to improve water quality and soil health by installing science-based practices, and that's what you've got right here. So I've got the benefit of being kind of at the end of the speaking line here, so a lot's already been said, but I do want to add my appreciation for you all being here to come learn about this. Vernon, particularly for you, I should turn this way. Thanks for sharing. You know, I've seen some very compelling presentations done by farmers who say, well, we tried this and that didn't work, or we tried this with cover crops and we had this challenge and we overcame it this way. Those are very real. That's real feedback. That's on the ground experience, and it all starts with a farmer landowner saying, I'm willing to do something. I'm willing to install a practice. I'm willing to add this management practice to my operation. And thank you for sharing some of your, well, I told a farmer once, I said, thanks for sharing your mistakes. And he said, I've never made a mistake. There's just a lot of things I don't do anymore.
Yeah,
So there you go.
expensive.
I tried that one at home and it didn't work very well. But and I do, again, want to just add the perspective from the state here. And I had a unique opportunity this morning. In fact, I was on a call with EPA and Region 7 EPA, and actually the somebody who'd been involved in this project getting it established in Kansas was on the phone. And so I had a chance to share, hey, I'm coming out to a field day. And there's just a good example of how states looking at what other states are doing and sharing their experiences, what's working, what's not. And this is a good example of where something that was proven out in Kansas, we're going to try it here in Iowa, and really happy to do that. So again, already more than 350 public and private partners, and counting, by the way, are already engaged and working alongside farmers and landowners and municipalities across the state to improve soil health and water quality. And Jonathan, you made a very, very important point just now about the layered benefits of these practices. So of course, first and foremost, we're looking for that nutrient reduction that is called for in the nutrient reduction strategy, but there are layers of benefits in that. We also see flood mitigation, or if you're a hunter and you want, you're interested in habitat, those types of things. Those are layered benefits that we can all partner together in unique ways to see these practices get on the ground, and we get multiple benefits from them. This is an important initiative and a partnership that we're highlighting today, and it's just another example of a private-public partnership that's working together to help us make progress on implementing the nutrient reduction strategy. And because of partnerships like this and unique approaches, we can, in Iowa, focus exclusively on how do we scale up, how do we accelerate the adoption of practices all across the states. It benefits all across the state. It benefits the land that we're implementing the practice on, but it also, of course, benefits and improves water quality downstream. Iowa farmers and landowners we've already achieved 2 million acres of cover crops in the state of Iowa. We're well on our way to hitting the 3 million acre mark. And again, partnerships and approaches like this that expand the window where we can get that cover crop seeded in the fall are critically important to achieving the goals that we have to go beyond 3 million acres of cover crops, well beyond 3 million acres. The goal of this project is to seed 40,000 acres of cover crops over the next 4 years in the Des Moines and the Raccoon River watersheds. And the Iowa Department of Agriculture and Land Stewardship is using funding from the Water Quality Initiative that's been appropriated by the legislature on a bipartisan basis, signed by the governor, and we'll be reimbursing the county $350,000 over that next 4 years, again, to get these cover crops on the ground. Statewide, we're doing more than we've ever done before in terms of implementing conservation. And we're heavily focused on accelerating the adoption of practices going forward. I'm excited about the opportunity to innovate, create new partnerships, and again, we're all trying to achieve those shared water quality goals. So I want to thank all of the partners who stuck with it, who didn't immediately say no, who said, let's learn more about this project, and for Heartland Co-op in particular, for sticking it out and trying to attract people to this. I'm thrilled to be here today. Mostly I'm most excited about seeing the cover crops actually get seeded and get on the ground, and that's something that we'll all benefit from. So thanks again for being here this morning. I'll let you invite people to lunch.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, one last time, thank you all for being here, and please help yourself. We've got a little lunch there.